Hugh, as much as it annoys the heck out of me that the NFL is considering banning the tush push, I've thought about this a lot the last couple months because I think we're moving towards this reality. Whether it's this year or they table this and then they do it next year, it seems like at some point the tush push is going to be out of the NFL.
Abolished.
At some point, I do think they're going to move off it, whether it be this season or next season. But Hugh, as much as it bothers me that the NFL is going to legislate a play out, maybe now, maybe eventually, that really has no injury data and is not a big deal in terms of the amount of times it's run, I don't believe, just like you said, no one needs that random back rub or massage or shoulder.
Need that.
You don't need
don't
that.
Need that. That's
I
not
don't
needed.
think the Eagles need the tush push. I'm glad they have it right now. I hope it stays. It certainly helps them, and they have mastered it. But I don't believe the Eagles need the tush push to be successful. If they have it, great, let's keep using it. If they don't, I believe the Eagles will adapt. It is a play, again, that was run across the NFL last year 0.28% of the time. Even with the Eagles, and we argued yesterday when the afternoon show was on with us yesterday, how often it's run. I mean, on a normal game, what do they run it? 5-6 times? And that's if they have a lot of short yardage plays or the goal line plays. There are some games they run it maybe 2 times. It's not a play that is a huge part of their playbook. It's part of it. I like that we have it, but ultimately, if this thing gets knocked off the ledger or it's banned today or banned next year, I don't think it's going to crush the Eagles. Hugh, I don't believe the Eagles need it. Where do you come down? Do the Eagles need the tush push?
You know what, Joe? Again, I feel like this is the segment where I have to long talk a little bit because I have to give you some perspective.
It's gone from the Daily Douglas to the Daily Long
No, I'm just saying it's
talk.
the Daily because this is how I feel about this. Now, I'm going to go back in time a little bit. And this was my first year here in Philadelphia. We were playing the Dallas Cowboys. I think it was on a Monday night. We got dragged all up and down the field. Emmett ran for like 200 yards.
I'm going
and
to pull
all
up
this
that
other
box
stuff.
score while you long talk.
And I remember on a goal line play, I was out there. Like, they were already winning the game, right? And Larry Allen was on the field. Larry Allen was playing guard the whole game. And all of a sudden, they called a timeout, and they slid Larry Allen out to tackle. And I remember telling Larry, this ain't going to be no easy win. I'm talking trash to Larry Allen and all this other stuff, and I was telling him I ain't no punk and all this other stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Needless to say, Larry Allen folded me like a tent, and they went on to score. I tell that story because it's relevant to this situation, because just like you said, it was not necessary to do that, but they did it to send a message.
Yeah.
And it was demoralizing to me, unfortunately, because you were already winning the game, and they did that because it was demoralizing. And I tell you all of that to say this. We don't need the tush push. It's not needed, but it's demoralizing. To me, the tush push is the same as the Dallas Cowboys lining Larry Allen out at tackle and running the ball because we all knew they were going to run the ball. We couldn't stop it.
They just wanted to stick it.
They just wanted to stick it to you. That is what the tush push is in essence. And that's why everybody is upset about the tush push. I saw Sean McVay get on. He was somewhere talking, and he was talking about the tush push with his little Hawaiian shirt on and everything. And when he was talking, it was something, all the long talking he was doing, it was something that he said that jumped out to me immediately when he was talking. He was talking about why he didn't like the tush push and all this other stuff. And then he said, it's not like I'm being a hater.
But he is. That's what he is.
I'm not the brightest man, but I tell you one thing that I do know. When you say I'm not trying to be a hater, guess what you're being?
A hater.
A straight up hater. And for you to sit there and try to justify, say, well, it looks like a rugby play. Well, we've already established that it's not, because rugby players don't wear helmets. They don't wear shoulder pads. So it's not a rugby play. You just don't like it. Just you should have stuck with that main premise and said, I don't want to be a hater. Just say I'm a hater. That's it.
I'd respect you more if you just said you were a hater.
All day. Well, I mean, you can't be mad at anybody who's being honest about how they feel.
I agree with you that it has become a play the Eagles use to demoralize opponents. I mean, I've seen so many times the last 3 or 4 years where it's like a 3rd and 7, right? And the Eagles get 6 yards, and the initial reaction from the defense the Eagles are playing is they're celebrating. We just got off the field. And then they realize, we didn't really get off the field. They're probably going to run this tush push. They're probably going to get the first down, and they're going to stay on the field. And that's a good thing, and it's an important thing for the Eagles. I just don't think it is going to be the difference next year or the year after between big time winning and not winning. I don't think they need it. Could they use it? Yeah. Do I want to keep it? Absolutely. Is it a joke that the NFL is trying to get rid of this? 100%. I just don't think they need it. Let's hear from Nick Sirianni this morning at the Coaches Breakfast, NFC Coaches Breakfast. By the way, Elliot is going to join us at 12. He was sitting there waiting for Sirianni
ESP.
like an hour before the breakfast started. Big time stuff at Elliot. I mean, he's on fire.
Hey, man, listen, can I just say this? And I know there's a lot of people out there that have mixed emotions by Elliot. I'm going to say this, and I say this, and I mean it. Elliot is the best reporter that we have in the city right now.
He's the beat writer you need.
He is the beat writer that you need. You know why? Because Elliot asked the questions that you people want to know.
Of course.
You know, when he asked Sean McDermott about, well, if you don't like tush push, why you using it? Like, nobody's going to ask that question. Not taking shots at anybody, but that's what you need when you're asking, when you're out there reporting on all these cats, you need to ask the tough questions. And Elliot's not afraid to do that. He's getting my early vote for Insider of the Year, back to back.
Wow.
And I ain't got nothing to do with that vote, and I know Spike's probably
I was going to say, how do you get a vote?
I don't get a vote. He gets my early vote for back to back, that dude that's asking questions.
I think we should get
Insider of the Year. I forgot the name.
Let's get to Sirianni this morning talking about lobbying the other coaches down there for their vote on this tush push ban.
Have you been lobbying other coaches for a pro tush push vote?
I'm sorry.
Have you been lobbying other coaches for a pro tush push vote, and where do you think things stand right now?
Yeah, we'll see. I think today will tell a lot. I think you guys know my opinion on it. I'm not going to continue to dive into. My opinion is very well documented, and I won't continue to dive into that. I think we would talk. I think maybe that's why there's so many cameras here today to talk about that. But I still stand where I stood, and when we talked at the combine, and we'll see how it goes down. Have I been lobbying? I've talked to a couple people, but we'll see how it goes today.
Well, good job, Sirianni. You should be lobbying for it, except I don't think you need it. If it gets banned, the Eagles will be all right. Let's hear Sirianni if it's gone, right? If the tush push ban comes down, how will the Eagles adapt? Here's Sirianni on what they'll do without it.
They told you had to run a standard quarterback sneak, tush push gone. Do you think you guys would still be the best in the league at running the quarterback sneak?
Yeah, I mean, I don't get into hypotheticals. We'd be good at it, no doubt, because we got really good players that. Again, you don't coach. I think somebody said something the other day, like, well, you coach the push different. The push just has extra push. Like, everything else is coached exactly the same. And so we got a lot of reps at it. We've been really successful at it. I think we'd be able to be successful either way. But I think there's a lot of exciting things, again, that can happen off the push.
Well, look, I do too, but I agree with Sirianni on this. I think they'd be the best to sneak. They'd convert those. Look, this team, if the tush push is gone today, and we're going to find out when it is, and we'll bring in the news as soon as we get it on the vote. They still have the best offensive line in the league. They still have a quarterback that is as strong and powerful runner as any quarterback probably that's ever played the game. And they have a great running back, like an all-time talent at running back. They can just hand the football to. I want to keep it. I think it's insane that they might ban this thing, but I don't think the Eagles need it. 215-592-9494. For Kyle, where do you come down as we await the vote here? Do the Eagles need the tush push?
I feel like we're underrating how much the Eagles do need the tush push. And one of the biggest key things that you can listen to and hear for yourself is just how hard Nick Sirianni and Howie Roseman are lobbying for this thing to stay. Like, we heard there was a report that Howie Roseman pulled Sean McVay aside, along with Howie's assistant GM, and they had an animated conversation about the tush push. The Eagles themselves are clearly very passionate about keeping the tush push in the NFL. It feels to me like they think that they need it, whether or not they say it outright, we need this play or not. What they're doing signals to me that they think they need this play. I mean, you've heard Sirianni describe it as 1st and 9 before. And I think if you just think of all the times that we've extended drives the past few seasons when we had a 1 yard to go situation, and just how many times that we've had 1 yard to go on the goal line, and how many of those we've converted to touchdowns, I think we're a little bit spoiled as a fan base when it comes to when we get down to the 1 yard line and we're like, that's a touchdown. That's an automatic touchdown. That's not necessarily the case for a lot of other teams in the league. I think if I'd be curious to see where the math comes down on this. But if you just flip the results of, I think, like half of the times that we've converted the tush push with 1 yard to go, I would tend to think that we would see a different Eagles offense. Because, I mean, look, the reality of the Eagles offense was, you could say, well, we'll just have a better play on 3rd and 7. The passing offense was one of the things this past season that we were like, no, this might be the one thing that hurts the Eagles offense in the postseason. Now, it didn't, but we can all be realistic about it. They struggled in those kind of situations as a passing offense this year. So I think we're a little bit spoiled when it comes to that. And I do find it funny when I hear it referred to as a crutch. Because, sure, you can call it a crutch, but, like, think about what a crutch is for somebody who, has a leg issue. Like, they need the crutch. Like, the Eagles might need this play. So you can call it a crutch all you want, but, like, they need it.
I think it's an interesting analogy, the word crutch, because you're right. Sometimes when people need crutches, they absolutely need crutches. Like, I broke my ankle once, and I needed crutches for, 6 weeks or whatever. But sometimes you don't really need a crutch. You think you need it, and then if you take the crutch away, you adapt without it. That's what I view this as. Like, the Eagles have used it. They've used it to their advantage. If they don't have it, and I think they'd realize they don't need it. They'll find a different way to move the football.
I hear what you guys are saying, and I get it to a certain extent. But again, to me, it's like lining up in that play. It's not like it's ran a whole lot. We ran it a whole lot during the course of the season. I get that. But when you talk about the game in the game, it's like 2 or 3 times a game. To me, that's the equivalent of running goal line in a game. And it's the same as goal line to me in this sense. Is that when I line up in goal line, when you line up in goal line, that's the epitome of a man whoop a man. And you know what the funny thing about it, even I remember when Jordan Mailata, we get a chance to talk to him, and when they line up in the tush push, how he would tell people, you know what's coming. You know what's coming. That's demoralizing. It's meant to demoralize the defense. If you have an aggressive defense, it takes away the aggression because that's the one play that you can't stop. And the last time that I checked, there's every team in NFL always tries to get a competitive edge. Always. By running different plays, different formations. Hell, we got the West Coast offense because of the quarterback play, and the quarterbacks weren't that great, so they made it a shorter passing game. That's where the West Coast offense was born from. This, to me, is the same thing. This is a competitive play that the Eagles do better than anybody else. It's been copycatted, but the problem is this. I tell you what, if every other team in the NFL was able to do the tush push, not as good as the Eagles, but somewhat as good as the Eagles,
they would do it.
They would do it.
Absolutely.
Hell, the Kansas City Chiefs, Buffalo Bills, they tried to do it, and when it cost them, at the moment that they tried to do it, when it cost them the most, they didn't get it done. Coach McDermott changed his mind. Well, I don't want to do it no more. It's a bad play. But hell, you was running it. You were trying to run it the same way we were trying to run it. To me, this is goofy. Like, seriously, it's goofy that it's gotten this much, not popularity, but people are talking about it this much. It's just goofy. It's a football play that nobody else can do as well as we do. Now they want to take it away.
Well, and look, I understand. Look, I want to keep it. Without question, I want to keep it. I think it's insane the NFL's trying to take this away. And I really think the people in the NFL that are trying to get this out are either petty or they're cowards or they can't do it and they want to take away an advantage from a team that can. It's to me, it's not the spirit of sports to take away something someone has done well without any sort of injury issue. And there's clearly none, no data out there. The Eagles ran this play last season in the regular season 48 times. That's an average of 2.8 times a game. I'm not saying it's insignificant, and I want to keep it. Those 3 plays matter. Those are 4th downs that become 1st downs. But I think with the players they have, and hopefully the coaches they have, they can concoct a way to convert those same plays. It's got to have to look different. It's going to be different. I don't think they need it. 215-592-9494. If the tush push gets banned, we will be on it all. I mean, as soon as it happens, whatever it comes down, we'll tell you about it. But do the Eagles need it? And this is one of those things where even if it doesn't get banned today, this could get banned next year. It feels like there's momentum to get rid of this in the NFL. So this need thing, at some point, Kyle, they're going to have to adapt, whether it's this year or next year.
Yeah, but it feels like you're playing with fire a little bit. Like it feels easy for you to say, well, just figure out another way. This is the NFL. It's not just that easy.
Well, it's not. But they have a lot of good players.
It feels like we're playing with fire a little bit.
I know. But these are 1 or 2 yard plays. They have Saquon Barkley in the best offensive line.
They're the most important 1 or 2 yard plays that come up in any game situation.
I think the most interesting thing, if they don't have it, would be would they go for it? Not would they convert. Would they be as willing to go for it on the 4th and 1 from their own 40 in the second quarter?
I don't think so.
Yeah, so that would change.
Changes a lot.
Would change. Now, I think if they went for it, they have enough good players that they should be able to convert those more often than not. But I don't know. We'll see.